Hello, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 here. And since we won't be getting the next episode of Pokemon subbed until next week, I decided to go ahead and do this video like I promised last week that was going to happen. And this video basically is the ending result of me asking in the last video for you all to pick a topic that you all wanted me to discuss in this video in terms of Pokemon the anime. And the thing I noticed a lot of in the comment sections when I asked for this were some of these various comments were related. But one of the things I decided to do that was the most diplomatic was to draw names from a hat. But as you can see, I had one of my partners work on this, and hey, Raichu! You pull those names out of the hat? Really? Really? You had a job to do. You weren't even winning. Yeah, that happened. So, I went ahead and did something else while writing the names down, actually, and looking at the following comments. I noticed a very revolving theme that more or less stayed consistent during each of the comments that I read. And while they're all not under this same category, I decided to do a little bit of meshing them together to answer multiple questions or topic questions at once to discuss in one video. What I've also decided to do is go ahead and make the other another discussion video on this on a separate topic later, because one thing I noticed a lot of as far as patterns were two various things: anime direction and shipping. And I'll do shipping some other day because shipping is something that I'm very meh about, and I'll explain why. But today, I'm going to go ahead and discuss Pokemon anime direction. I'm pretty sure I know why a lot of people want me to do this type of discussion. A while ago, it's been several months ago actually, I started the review of Pokemon X and Y. I did this because I was very inspired by the Insane Game Freak when he reviewed Pokemon Best Wishes. Best Wishes, regardless of what a lot of other people will say, is one of my favorite generations of Pokemon in terms of the anime series, because it focused on several different other characters other than just Ash and his friends. It focused on characters that, hell, I thought were just plain filler characters or trainers of the day characters until the battle tournaments started to come into display. Burgundy, Langley, and Kenyon are trainers that I thought were just going to be introduced in one episode, which turns out they were in much bigger relevance to the plot as we thought. Essentially, they were rivals for not just Ash, but also Silent and Iris. So it made everything mesh together rather well. When Trip and Bianca also got introduced into the series as well, it gave Ash even more rivals in order to battle off against. The battle tournaments that they had in Best Wishes were probably the best part of Best Wishes because it brought everybody together. But enough about Best Wishes. I'm sure you all want to hear about Pokemon X and Y. Like I said, I decided to review the Pokemon X and Y series, and I'm still consistently doing it. And along the way, I've been able to gain a lot of support from you all, the subscribers, as well as do several joint videos with KG Prestige and Insane Game Freak. So I feel that this direction of reviewing the X and Y anime was a very nice choice for me. It also helps that the X and Y anime did a lot of things right. It fixed a lot of things, but as of late, people are starting to lose hope in the X and Y series. I noticed that a lot of people in the comment sections of a lot of my more recent videos are stating that X and Y is starting to go downhill. Some people are just plain fed up with everything. The running jokes that Clement uses are way too predictable now. Bonnie's even lost some of her luster, which is kind of hard considering that she's the best thing to hit X and Y. Ash hasn't shown any real progress and has been on a bit of a losing streak as of late. And Serena, I didn't even need to say it. X and Y in terms of our heroes hasn't gotten very well. Meanwhile, they've entered the Karina arc where Karina and Lucario are basically trying to master Mega Evolution, which is definitely an improvement from the video games, where in the video games, you more or less are introduced to Karina and they say F it and just give you the Mega Ring. Whereas in the anime, we actually get to see that Karina isn't as perfect of a gym leader as she states she is, and her Lucario isn't as much in sync with her as she thought it was. And they have to go through an entire, 5-episode trial in order to master Mega Evolution, which is much more fitting. And Ash just happens to be tagging along while all of this is taking place. If anything, I wouldn't say that Karina decided to travel with the heroes. The heroes decided to travel with her. Think about it. Karina's the one that wants to go on this journey in order to master Mega Evolution. Our heroes just followed her because. There's a whole lot of just because with Ash and the gang as of right now. These characters aren't being the ones that are developed right now. As you can see during all 4 or 5 of those episodes, Karina's face is the thing that shows up on the episode Eye Catcher. The episodes focus on her. She's the main character in all of these episodes. And I hate to say it, she's gotten more development episodes than Bonnie and Serena combined. But regardless, is the anime going downhill? I can tell you from reviewing all 33 of the episodes of Pokemon X and Y anime so far, I will say that it's not going downhill, it's just reaching that moment of Pokemon air. What this basically means is that moment in which you feel no progress is going on. Every season kind of has its own with the exception of the Kanto region. The Kanto region moved actually rather fast, as it took about 70-something episodes for Ash to get to the Pokemon League. It also kind of helps that during the moment in when we were kids, things didn't seem all that slow to us. We were kids. Our attention span was already sped up. Also, we need to consider the fact that during the Kanto saga, a lot of the gym battles that happened just sort of happened out of pure nowhere during the series. We weren't counting on them. And it also helps that we got Pokemon 1 year later after Japan. So all of the episodes that were introduced to us in America were already a year old, which means they could afford to just bring episodes out to us in 1, 2, or maybe even 4 in an all-out Pokemon marathon if they wanted to. They didn't have to worry about trying to catch up with Japan's anime because Japan was already doing the Johto League at this point, or probably finishing up the Orange Islands. Whereas now, if I look at Cerebi, you can find out that in America, Ash is freaking about to battle Grant on Saturday in America. You know how long it took for us to get to that point in Japan? With English subtitles? It took freaking forever. And now he's about to do it? Yeah, America's catching up. They're only about 9 or 10 episodes behind. So, because of this, there's going to be a lot of delays. And that's one of the things that makes a major problem in Pokemon XY as of right now. The reason that we're not getting as much progress as we want to is because the episodes are getting delayed a lot. The Skrelp/Duralga, I can't pronounce this of all form to save my life, but the delay for that episode was important because it was based off a real world event that happened, and a tragic one at that. So for it to get delayed was justified. But we've also had several other random weeks of just Pokemon episodes being delayed. Because of this, I honestly think that we should be around episode 40-something. Hell, we should probably even be around the middle of 40. But we got several weeks delayed. Yeah, they tried to make up for it by showing 2 episodes at once, but even that kind of slows itself down when you consider the fact that America shows 2 episodes at once as well, well, when they first released Pokemon X and Y, and they even did a sneak preview of the first 2 episodes of Pokemon X and Y like months before the series was about to begin for them. I think the real issue of the anime and its direction as of right now is, like I said, that Pokemon Air. Don't know why I decided to do it, but I randomly was watching the Advanced series of Pokemon. You know, where Ash, May, Max, and Brock travel the Hoenn region. And when I was watching this, I noticed the overall pattern. Since a lot of people compare X and Y to the Hoenn region anyway, because, you know, Hoenn confirmed, remakes, Gen 3 confirmed, all that nonsense, I decided to watch it and I noticed a pattern. X and Y and Hoenn region's pacing aren't all that different. When I really stopped to look at it, I stopped and asked myself, as a kid, we had to wait every Saturday for each of these episodes to come out in 1 episode per week. When you really look at it, 1 episode comes on every 7 days. There's a total of about 100-something episodes in Pokemon Hoenn region. So, if you do the math, it's been how many weeks? Yeah, that's a problem. So, I think the issue is not even the fact that the Pokemon X and Y anime has gotten no progress or is feeling very, very slow pace as of late based on the events that are going on. Ash has yet to capture Pokemon and things like that, which are all fun, lovely things that I will tackle one by one. But one of the main issues I think is we're all in anime lock. For those of y'all who don't know what that means, anime lock is a term that I made up a while ago. Some people have probably already thought of it or had their own name for it. It started when I watched Hunter x Hunter. When I got introduced to Hunter x Hunter, the 2011 edition, I got introduced to it while it was already completing the Greed Island arc and entering the Chimera arc. I was introduced to the series around that time. So I was watching episodes, and I was watching episode after episode after episode after episode after episode. And there were some weekends or weeks where I would watch 3 episodes a day, 3 episodes a day, 3 episodes a day. Then I got so caught up into the plot during the Chimera Ant saga that I watched literally almost 10 episodes a day. Yeah, it got that bad. To the point where by the time that I stopped, they were entering the Royal Ant Guard saga. When they reached this saga, I got into anime lock. I had to wait every week in order to watch the new episode. Each episode at that point felt slow to me. It felt like the pacing had made an almost screeching halt when I made it to this point. Now granted, I'm also aware that this anime took a lot of hiatuses, but at the same time, the pacing is just abysmal once I made it to anime lock because I was forced to wait 7 days in order to watch the next episode. The problem here, people, is that we're in anime lock. Not to really say that our heroes haven't done much. I mean, some of that kind of helps. But at the same time, essentially, we have to wait. And since I was able to watch all of the Hoenn region episodes on YouTube, I was able to consistently watch each episode without fear of having to wait 7 more days to watch the next one. Us as humans are very impatient by nature. I know what a lot of people are saying. I'm very patient. I'm patient. I can wait. Yeah, but in human nature, whenever we see something that's supposed to happen, don't we all anticipate for it? Don't we all make speculations? Don't we all predict? I mean, hell, look at KG. He makes anime prediction week videos based off like things that have happened an episode ago, which are very cool. I think you should check those out. But what he does is that he basically predicts the things that he thinks are going to happen. When he predicts those things, then it gets us hyped. It gets us wondering, oh my God, what's going to happen next? It gets us ready for the future when the future isn't here yet. So I think that's one of the major problems of Pokemon X and Y. We're in episode 34 as of right now, and we have to wait 7 days just to get to episode 35. Yeah. And in that episode, Ash will finally capture another Pokemon to his team. When we've already been introduced to the concept that every average Pokemon trainer has about 6 Pokemon on hand, then when we look at this and realize Ash only has about 3, we get mad at this. We get mad at this in the sense that at this point in the video game, you already have a full set of 6 Pokemon plus 7 others at the computer box waiting just to be switched out. Why the hell is Ash taking so long? I guess this is probably why I'm going to discuss the first topic, Ash's development. Now, if you look at the anime, Ash already obtained 6 Pokemon in the Kanto region around episode 12, maybe even episode 13. We could tell by the time we hit Bill's lighthouse that Ash actually captured 7 Pokemon once he captured the Krabby. Because of this, Ash already had 7 Pokemon during this point in the series. And in the Best Wishes series, he was able to catch Tepig, Oshawott, Snivy, and then was able to catch Sewaddle and Pidove and Pikachu, all within the first few parts of the episode. Because of this, we already have been spoiled with the fact that Ash can capture a large array of Pokemon without having to wait this long. But I can see what Pokemon X and Y is doing. Pokemon X and Y is taking a chapter from Hoenn's book and developing the Pokemon themselves. I mean, Best Wishes did a good job of showing off the Pokemon and giving them personality traits. Snivy is the sassy girl-like Pokemon. Tepig was the battle-ready, eager Pokemon, and Oshawott was comic relief. The anime does a really good job of showing this off with each of their characters. Unfortunately, the anime also doesn't do a good job in showing them, fleshing them out, because they don't get episodes devoted to themselves until much later in the series. What I'm basically trying to say is that in the Hoenn region, you got more of a sense of camaraderie between Ash and his Pokemon because he only had a small number of them. Remember that one episode where Ash had got all 8 badges and made it back to Pallet Town and he had that big argument with Gary? Gary had captured way more Pokemon than Ash, but Ash states the phrase, "I bet none of those Pokemon are your friends." And Gary even gets confused by this. Friends? The reason that I state this is because, yeah, anybody in the video games, you, me, all of us, anybody can capture tons upon tons of Pokemon. But once you have a small number of Pokemon, isn't it a lot easier to get along with that number of Pokemon? That's kind of the overall thing that stayed within the Pokemon series. Ash doesn't capture a lot of Pokemon because he wants to befriend each of them individually. He learned that very early on in the journey, that if he captures not a lot of Pokemon, but is able to develop himself with each of those Pokemon, then overall, those Pokemon will become a lot stronger with him during the team. It's one of the reasons that Ash refuses to use older Pokemon from a region beforehand in order to help him with a region that he's just entered, because he wants to get a fresh start. Pikachu's his best friend, so he gets the exception to the rule, but a lot of his older Pokemon already know him well enough to the point where he can leave them behind and pick them back up when he needs them. Whereas, if he gains new Pokemon and gains relationships with them, then he can gain the same type of bond that he had with his Kanto region Pokemon. So, in other words, when we look at it, it took Ash about this many episodes in the Hoenn region to get 4 Pokemon. For a long amount of time in the anime, he only had Pikachu, Tailo, and Trico. Then he later on caught Corphish, and we immediately saw some continuing character traits with Corphish. Corphish is odd, it's rude, it's oblivious, and it attacks without warning. It's sort of mischievous once you think about it. And because of this, Ash had to work on Corphish's attitude and make it a more reliable and dependable Pokemon. It wasn't the fact that Corphish wouldn't obey Ash, it obeyed Ash perfectly. Unfortunately, it still had somewhat of an attitude problem, and several episodes were made to develop this and fix it. We even got to a point to where when Trico evolved into Grovyle, Corphish got jealous, and it was a development episode in which Ash and Corphish had worked together so that they could defeat this Mexican guy in his Ludicolo. This episode was devoted overall for Ash to work with Corphish, even though he's using a whole nother powerhouse Pokemon, Grovyle, because it just evolved and is probably one of his strongest Pokemon at the time. So, the overall theming here is that Ash is supposed to get along with his Pokemon, which is one of the reasons why they decided to take this route and make it so Ash takes a longer time to get his Pokemon. They decided not to give him all 3 starters because, yeah, he can just obtain the starters, but at the same time, his overall development with each of the Pokemon can grow if he ends up doing this route. And with this, he can gain more variety in his team. The team that Ash sports in the Hoenn region is debatably one of the most varietized teams that he has because he only has 1 starter this time, Trico. Then he has Pikachu, Torkoal, Swellow, and several other Pokemon like Glalie, and later on I think he gangs Donphan back to Phanpy back in order to evolve it into Donphan. But regardless, because of this, it took a lot longer for Ash to develop a full team of 6. But when he finally does get that full team of 6, you feel as though Ash has had a connection with almost all of his Pokemon. I say almost because he usually doesn't pay much attention to his flying types. And he's following that overall method here too. One of the things that I discussed with KG, not in a video, but just as chatting, and I think we also have discussed this in several other instances with several other YouTubers. One of the things that Ash has done in terms of his Pokemon is battle with them in the sense that he's training with them. This is most noticeable in one of Serena's episodes where she's in the PR video. He trains with his Pokemon a lot more to prepare for the gym leaders now, rather than just getting to the gym and battling them, like he did in the Hoenn region, which eventually changed when he got beat by Brawly. But KG brought up a very important point when I stated why he only still has 3 Pokemon. He stated that Pikachu, Fletchling, and Froakie are a team as of right now. They're like the 3 amigos, brothers. And when they battled Grant, Ash still only had 3 Pokemon because this was their last battle as a threesome. Which is why Ash was able to use all 3 of them when he was battling Grant, as opposed to just 2 Pokemon when he was battling Viola. That battle was mainly to give Fletchling some spotlight as well as Pikachu. Whereas in the Grant battle, this was a battle that Pikachu, Fletchling, and Froakie were to share as a team. After this, the team wasn't going to be the same. Hawlucha was already confirmed to be on Ash's team around the time that Ash was battling Grant. So we knew that Hawlucha was going to be on Ash's team at one point or another. Because of this, we basically know that Pikachu, Fletchling, and Froakie weren't going to be that 3 amigo type team anymore. His team was going to grow. It was going to change. Fletchling is going to evolve into Fletchideer at some point because we see it during the opening. And he's going to get Hawlucha, as well as 2 other Pokemon, but we don't know which those 2 are yet. Because all of this is happening, we noticed that the camaraderie between Pikachu, Fletchling, and Froakie begins to grow, and them being just 3 starts to mean something now. Yeah, it's a low number of Pokemon that Ash has, based on the fact that he just has 2 badges as of now, but still should have more Pokemon. But at the same time, it is a upset to see that the group of 3 will no longer be the group of 3. It's kind of like when you have 3 best friends in your overall school, and then later on you start to get more friends. It's good that you got more friends, and it makes the overall group of friends much bigger that you have. But you will still go back to those other 3 or 2 friends and say, hey, remember when it was just us? It's just that feeling you get when you're with people. Yeah, you like I said, you're glad that you're with an entire group of people now and you all can discuss like your favorite topics and things like that. But at the same time, you realize that it started off with like two people and now it's evolved. So, with putting that into account, I'm not so upset that Ash hasn't captured a bunch of Pokemon yet. And if anything, it makes the anticipation of him catching a new Pokemon a lot bigger. How many people are more hyped about Hawlucha now than when the series began and Ash just had like two Pokemon? People are more hyped now because this is a new addition to Ash's team. We haven't had a new addition to Ash's team since episode 7. Well, since episode 4, excuse me. So it's been 30 plus episodes since then. The anticipation gets higher. A lot of people can't wait to see when Serena catches a Pokemon because it's been so long since she's had a Pokemon, with the exception of Fennekin. It's one of the reasons we want the anime to push further. Now let's talk about the overall team, not just Ash. A lot of people are upset by several things. Clement's Pokemon are unevolved, and Serena's Pokemon are, well, Pokemon, she has one, excuse me, only has one. Thing about it is, around this point, May only had two Pokemon. Debatably, yes. Around this point, May had Beautifly and Torchic, but at this point she also realized her goal as a coordinator. She lost her first contest, true, but she sprung back up and was ready to get back in the game. Why does May only have two Pokemon when the average Pokemon trainer has 6? Well, the thing about it is, May was still trying to figure out her goals. And the show definitely needs time to develop each of these Pokemon. I sat there and thought about it. If the show just introduced one Pokemon after another and Ash was able to get each of these Pokemon, then the development for each of the Pokemon would be rather weird. Ash has had plenty of time to develop with both Fletchling and Froakie. Froakie's had episodes like the Ninja episode where it battled against Frogadier, and the episode with Sylveon, and several other episodes, while Fletchling had the overall training episode to prepare for the battle with Viola, and the battle where it was useful against Viola. So we've got to see Fletchling and Froakie be somewhat developed. Like I said, even at this point, Ash only had 4 Pokemon when he battled against Brawly in episode 30-ish. So it's no surprise to me that he's made it this far with that said. But one of the things I want to point out is that later on, after the battle against the Mauville City's Watson, Ash winds up battling against Flannery very shortly after. And then afterwards, he ends up getting a Torkoal. Once Ash got his 4th badge, his team started to grow. His Torkoal was really powerful. It was his 5th Pokemon, and it's really powerful. While Corphish was one of his strongest Pokemon as well. Hell, just take a look at all the effort that it took for Ash to get Corphish during its debut episode. The point of what I'm trying to get is that as of right now, the anime pacing seems slow to us because Ash only has 2 badges. I want to state that when Ash gets his 4th badge, I would hope that things speed up a bit. I say this because when he got his 4th badge, look at it. His team had 5 members at this point, meaning that he only needed 1 more to make it a full set of 6. His Pokemon were relatively powerful, and Trico had evolved into Grovyle. So at this point, his powerhouse Pokemon were Grovyle, Corphish, and Torkoal, while Taylor was still unevolved at this point, unfortunately, and not being used as much for popping Team Rocket's balloon or finding missing people. And Pikachu within itself is Pikachu, so it gets a pass. The point of what I'm trying to get to here is that around the 4th badge, I kind of predict that Ash will get his 5th Pokemon. Hawlucha is already one of his most powerhouse Pokemon, as we can see in the next episode as it fights several strong Pokemon. And more than likely, Fletchling will evolve into Fletchideer. It's following the exact same formula as the Hoenn region. So with that said, I estimate that he'll have his 5th Pokemon by badge number 4, and things will pick up. if anything, if you look at Ash's battle against Watson, he won that battle rather quickly, if you might recall. Mostly because Pikachu was overpowered during that one battle. Yeah, it was weird. Anyway, let's talk about Serena. Now, I know I've been giving Serena a lot of shit lately. It's mostly because we've expected her to develop as a character. Hell, at this point, May realized her goal as contest coordinator. I mean, yeah, she did win her first contest at this point, and she rarely used Torchic once she got Beautifly. And at this point, she was just about to get Skitty, so her count of Pokemon was 1 to 3. But here's the thing. Serena doesn't even know her goal yet. A lot of people in the comments have been wondering, Tyrone, why does Serena have to have a goal per se? Or some people have agreed with me and are like, I give up on this anime because Serena doesn't have a goal. Here's the overall theme about goals in Pokemon. We've already been introduced that goals are essential in Pokemon for us to be interested in the character. We root for the character. We want them to succeed. I don't like Dawn, but there's part of me that watches the Diamond and Pearl series when I did, just to see what will happen in the contest. Granted, I wasn't as interested in the contest as I was Ash's journey during Diamond and Pearl, because I wasn't that interested in Dawn herself. But even still, when you're in the heat of a competition, don't you kind of want to see what happens? Don't you want to see how it ends? Which is the same with Serena. Serena hasn't done anything as of yet. And if you're going to bring someone on the journey, why bring them on the journey if they're not going to do anything? I will say this. Her having a goal isn't absolutely necessary when you consider that Iris and Misty also kind of shared this. But here's the thing. Iris and Misty are both gym leaders. So anything that they progressed in the anime was their overall growth as gym leaders. Iris becomes the gym leader later. So the journey was more or less her becoming a gym leader. So the absence of a goal when she was introduced later on grew to her becoming a gym leader. So who knows? Serena's absence of a goal may lead to her being something else. The thing is though, in the games, she's no gym leader. So what is she doing? Exactly. This was also an issue in not just the anime, but the game itself. Shauna has no goal. She's just in the journey to explore. She's with you to catch the Furfrou. She's with you when the fireworks go off. She's with you when the lights of the Prism Tower are lit up in Lumio City. She's just there with you for those magical moments in the journey that make you just go, I'm so glad I left home to see this wonder. So I probably shouldn't harp on Serena so hard for not having a goal. But the thing is, May has already set the bar for several other female companions with Ash. And I know it's not right to compare every female character to another female character, considering the fact that each female character is different. I may not like Dawn, but she is a character within her own rights. I mean, she does have progression, and she does start off the journey with a Piplup that doesn't like her at first and ends off being runner-up in the Grand Festival with a full set of 6. May has a more powerful story, being a female who doesn't even like Pokemon and only wants to go on the journey to travel, by ending the team out with having 7 Pokemon and being in 4th place while beating Drew, her rival that she's had since basically the beginning. So what I'm basically trying to say here is that female characters that have goals end off somewhere to a point where you go, wow, all of this happened. I think another thing that female characters bring to the anime series is the cut down of filler episodes. We've been getting a lot of filler heavy episodes lately in Pokemon X and Y before the whole Mega Evolution fiasco started. And this was mostly because each of the characters in Pokemon X and Y don't really have concrete goals like Ash does. In previous anime series like the Diamond and Pearl and the Advanced Generation saga, we got a sense of progression from not just Ash, but May and Dawn, because they had things to show the progression. Ash has badges. We can see badges when he beats gym leaders. And May and Dawn get contest ribbons. We see contest ribbons after they get done beating contests. Here, we just see Ash get badges. And even when he enters the battle chateau, we see him like get a rank. His clothes change. He gets the white robe and the blue and the purple and the reds and all those beautiful things. The point of what I'm trying to get to is that we see the progression. And seeing the progression is what we like to see. It also cuts down the filler episodes. We didn't have to worry about Pokemon being filler city anymore because if an episode wasn't focused on Ash, it was focused on May. If an episode wasn't focused on May, it was focused on Ash. Same with the Diamond and Pearl saga. If it wasn't Ash getting a gym battle or capturing a Pokemon, it was Dawn getting a contest ribbon and capturing a Pokemon. These things would happen in Revolve back and forth, thus cutting filler episodes down by at least 40%. Episodes have more time to focus on the characters themselves rather than just the overall fact that it's Pokemon, and its filler episodes are going to happen because they need to introduce the Pokemon of that region. But now those filler episodes are instantly chopped down considering the fact that episodes have more to focus on. They could focus on May and Ash. The journey was split in two at this point. And the anime series overall focused on two characters. This is why we want Serena to have a goal. So it can cut the filler episodes down. So it can cut the bull crap. Serena's only had about 3 episodes focused on her so far in the anime. Episode 7, dealing with the Rhyhorn stuff. Episode 21, dealing with the PR videos. And episode 26, dealing with the Pokepuffs. It's not that I am mad at Serena for not having a goal at this point. I'm mad because the anime doesn't focus on her. Which is sad because the anime started off focusing on her. Remember those first few episodes of Pokemon? Where the minute the series starts, we don't even see Ash. We see Serena. She's getting woke up just like you do in the video games. She's getting pecked by Fletchling, and then she starts off her day picking off which outfit she should wear and does the Rhyhorn training and all of that. Because of this, we already got a sense that the anime was focused on Serena. Which is why we're wondering as to why the hell she's not focused on anymore. To give like a real world example, it's like you promoting you're promoting a sale at your store. And you sell like shoes. You promote shoes, you're promoting shoes, you're rocking the shoes, you're advertising the shoes, and then when it's time for the store to finally open, it's day 1, you sell the shoes, people are happy, they come back the next day to get some more shoes, and you don't sell shoes anymore. Oh yeah, there's a couple of shoes in the back somewhere, you'll find like 1, maybe 2 pair, but essentially, you don't even sell shoes anymore. So what was the point of prepping it up? The anime preps us up by showing Serena. The anime starts us off with Serena. We don't even see Ash until 10 minutes into the episode. The first 10 minutes starts with Serena. The next episode starts with Serena. Serena has her own segments of the anime where she's traveling once she gets Fennekin, and it takes 7 episodes for Serena to catch up with the others. The anime has built to Serena being on the team. The anime has revolved itself around Serena. And then when she finally joins Ash, we get nothing. We get an empty void. It's almost as if they advertised her just to put her on the team, and now she's not there. They could have done that in episode 1. They could have had her live in Lumio City and then just get interested in Ash because she knew Ash from a long time ago. And that's another thing. Her character development and backstory are too freaking her backstory, should I say. Her backstory is too powerful. Her Her backstory is too powerful for her to just be thrown away like this. I like Serena because of her backstory. This is why I'm so angry about it. Because I want her to be developed and focused. She's such a great character that you introduced to the series. In fact, this is what getting on the anime direction topic is all about. The direction of the anime. A lot of people were hyped about Pokemon X and Y because Pokemon X and Y starts off really well. We get some backstory of Serena knowing Ash from the past. We get Serena's character being focused on and her journeying off to meet Ash in hopes of seeing him again because they remember each other from like way back in the day before the series technically starts, making it an overall history in Pokemon. We get Clement and Bonnie joining the group later because of the whole thing that happens. We learn that Clement is the gym leader of the place that Ash got kicked out of, so we'll learn that mystery at some point during the anime. And we actually get a very competent Ash. We get an Ash that's brave enough to step up to a Garchomp and basically help it lose control of that mind control device that it had on its neck. We get a very brave and powerful Ash. We're introduced to an Ash that has more control, that's not rash, that's not naive, that's not weak. And it feels good. And even while the episodes were taking place, a lot of focus was being made on battles. The battle animation was instantly better. Things looked a lot better. Real-time battles were happening. Fights looked more like fights and less like Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. And then the swooshy background happens and Pikachu uses the same animation of Thunderbolt that it's used since episode 1. We've got more build-up. We got more advancement. We got more development, only for it to be sort of thrown away in the end or let down. So I wouldn't say it's exactly going downhill. I'm just saying they gave us a taste and now they're not delivering as much as they used to. Granted, I wouldn't say it's going that far downhill as of now. Things are looking pretty well in terms of Pokemon, whereas like as of right now, Karina's gained control of Lucario. And Ash has decided to go off and train for Karina. This is a big change from the Hoenn region, whereas the pacing was still the same. You'll notice something in the Hoenn region. Ash would not shut up about getting to the next gym. Even now he does this, but you can sense that he's a bit more patient and mature about it. Whereas in the Hoenn region, he literally just forced everybody to go to the next city in order to get to the next badge. He wouldn't even let May go to some of her contest areas at some point. He would rush May. Yeah, it got that bad. It was to a point where he would literally just rush and rush and rush. Right after he gets his first badge, he would immediately be in a hurry to get his next. It was to an annoying, uncomfortable point. But then when he finally lost against Brawly, he learned that he had to train, that he couldn't be so rash, that he couldn't be so quick to action, that he couldn't be so impatient. In this series, he's learned to be more patient. Yeah, he still wants to get to the next gym as soon as possible, but at this point, he's realized that I gotta stop and train before I up and try to fight the gym leader. During the Battle Chateau, we got to see Grant's power and how powerful his Onix is. And Ash doesn't just try to rush to Silage City. He actually sits down with his Pikachu, Fletchling, and Froakie and tries to train with them. Get them to get faster so that they can dodge Rock Tomb. And develops Rock Tomb because of it. At this point, we know that Ash's strategies aren't just out of nowhere or random. His Rock Tomb, don't ask, that's a thing, was developed because he was training for it. It was building up to it. He had a strategy for preparing for it. Now, another thing that makes the pacing in the anime slow is the games. In the games, this is actually a thing. To get your first 2 or maybe even 3 gym badges does take a long time. I'm not gonna lie. It does. But once you finally get that 3rd badge and you end up fighting the 4th gym leader, things begin to speed up rapidly. And I'm guessing this is going to happen. We already know that the 5th gym leader's traveling with Ash, so once he gets the 4th gym badge, it's just right back to Lumos City with our heroes. And Clement, will be anticipating this overall battle. And because of this, he'll more than likely prepare for it himself. So with the 4th gym leader down, we'll also see that the 5th gym leader is definitely going to be a thing because Ash is traveling with him. So that makes sense. And then after that, we get through the 6th, 7th, and 8th gym leader. And I can predict that the 6th gym leader will be fast to beat. But the 7th and 8th will probably take a while for Ash to get to. Being the fact that Serena doesn't have a concrete goal yet, hopefully if she does get one, that can help. But if she doesn't have one, then that means we're going to be introduced to a lot more filler episodes. We'll get the occasional, maybe Ash catches a 7th Pokemon on his team, but as of right now, I can predict that we'll be entering a lot of filler-y episodes, not just to introduce the Unova region Pokemon, but also introduce like certain Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, or hell, maybe even trying to get Ash a rival. That's another thing that's probably hindered this anime as far as progression. Ash doesn't have a rival. Ash needs a rival. We can get that in this series and in the Hoenn region. He was supposed to be more of the teacher type character or more of the mature type character, meaning that he doesn't get so quick to anger to battle off against rivals as much. But at the same time, I still feel he needs a rival in order to push him to get stronger. Diamond and Pearl did a lot of things wrong, but it did do one thing right. The rival. Paul is a jackass, almost to the point where you want to see Ash beat him, not just because he's his rival or because of how badly he treated Chimchar. It's because Paul's a dick. Paul does also answer that question of how come Ash isn't training his Pokemon like we train our Pokemon in the games. Because Paul was that person. Paul took his Pokemon and looked at their stats and overall move sets and natures and abilities and IVs and EVs and all that bullshit, just to confirm that if a Pokemon isn't good enough for him, he'll release it. And that's how we treat our Pokemon sometimes in video games. Ash was there to say, no! You treat your Pokemon like friends, goddammit. The creatures first. And because of this, while it was very corny and cheesy, he was able to beat Paul in the end with his own Pokemon, no less. Taking Chimchar from Paul because Paul released it, Ash was able to turn the tables, evolve that bitch into an Infernape, and whoop Paul's ass. And become top 4 in the Pokemon League. So, because of all of this, we need a rival to push Ash to become stronger. It helps us realize that Ash is stronger. Now, I do say that in this series, Ash is a lot more competent. I don't expect Ash to lose as much. He's in a losing streak now, and a lot of people are wondering why that's happening. I have my theory. Ash is losing a lot right now to get the losses out of the way. You'll notice that in the Hoenn region, Ash actually lost quite a bit as well. He won some trainer battles, and hell, some episodes ended with him in battles, so they were more or less undecided. But overall, Ash is probably going to lose a lot. So it's best to get it out of the way now. In the position that he's in, he only has Froakie and Fletchling, which are very low level, and then his Pikachu. I got mad at Ash for using Pikachu a lot, but considering that he has to fight against Mega Lucario and Lucario, I don't blame him. Pikachu is Ash's strongest Pokemon technically at this point, at least until he gets Hawlucha. Now, I know Pokemon don't really follow a level theme in this anime. What I mean by this is that Pokemon don't have statistic levels. A Pokemon's either strong or not. For example, it's a lot more like human fitness. It's like, yeah, I can be a certain level of strength, but I'm still only that certain level of strength. People wonder why, like, Ash's Pikachu has lost to weaker Pokemon at some point, but lost to much stronger, but beat much stronger Pokemon at other points. It's a simple Ash's direction. Ash's direction dictates what happens with his Pokemon. Pikachu can be strong enough to fight off and tie against the Latios at some point, but it's still just a Pikachu. Not counting levels or statistics, it's just a Pikachu. And Pikachus aren't really that powerful in the Wi-Fi game, but not putting the game into aspect, Pikachu's a mouse. It's just a mouse. The fact that Pikachu's been able to do what it's done so far is nothing short of a miracle, and it's because Pikachu is stronger than the average Pikachu. But at the core, it's still a Pikachu. Its natural body shows that it has poor defenses. Pikachu can get hit by an attack and take really heavy damage. The fact that Pikachu gets up is based on its will alone. So when Pikachu loses to like a much weaker Pokemon, it's more than likely because Ash hasn't had experience battling that type of Pokemon yet. People get upset that Pikachu lost against Pampor, and while yes, Pikachu should very well have the advantage against Pampor in a battle like this, Ash has never battled a Pampor before. It's kind of like when you send in your troops in war. Your troops are strong, yes, but if they're battling an unknown territory, they're going to have a disadvantage. Why did Ash lose to Viola in the first gym battle? Because he doesn't have experience battling off against someone who's made an entire gym floor icy. I mean, yeah, he has before when he battled Price, but not in this sense. He hasn't had experience battling a Vivillon yet. He hasn't had experience fighting a Surskit in this certain way. It's battle experience and knowledge, and knowing is half the battle. Whatever. The point of what I'm trying to say is that Ash's losing streak is more or less because he's not knowledgeable of the way things are. And it's also his Pokemon in a sense. Froakie and Fletchling at their core just aren't that strong right now. But they will get stronger. When Froakie learns like new moves, like it's already learned Double Team, and Fletchling ends up evolving, they will end up winning battles. It's just, it takes time. They need to develop. Ash is building this team from the ground up, and to be honest, I don't expect him to win everything. You gotta remember, this isn't the game, people. These aren't automatic characters that are just made to lose. They're not artificial intelligence characters. This is a world in which everybody is more or less is just as smart, if not smarter, than Ash when it comes to battling. Because all of these people are humans, technically, and have their own style of battle. They all have raised their Pokemon in certain ways to battle. Froakie lost to Sylveon, but it's only because Premia has trained her Sylveon. When you think about it, when you're in the Wi-Fi game, do you expect to win every battle that you compete in Wi-Fi? Hells no. Other people have been training just as hard as you. You're not fucking special. Ash can't blow through all of the trainers he's battling because they have been through some losses and wins as well. The point of what I'm trying to say is that Ash is building this team from the ground up. Right now it's weak. Later it'll get stronger, and later on Ash will show more competence because of this. He'll get stronger, and in the Pokemon League, which the whole entire series is going to lead up to, he'll start beating some ass. He'll beat trainers that you thought he couldn't beat at first. He'll beat his rival, if he gets one. The League is where Ash usually kicks ass. Hell, even in the Kanto region, a region where Ash didn't earn half of the badges that he won, in the Kanto region, he shows competence. Granted, he has Brock and Misty's guidance to help him, but he gets overall competent. His Pikachu beats an Arcanine. His freaking Krabby ends up sweeping an entire team. His Muck ends up beating a Bellsprout. Okay, that last example wasn't as good. The point is, Ash usually gets better in the leagues, so just give him time. And granted, based on the things that are going on with Ash and how mature he is in this region, I kind of predict him to win the whole shebang this time. I usually predict that a lot. I mean, hell, in the Unova region, I thought he was going to win the whole shebang, but he ended up in top 8, which is disappointing, and he lost against Kotetsu, even more disappointing. But that was only because we then realized that the Kalos region was going to happen, and he has to travel the Kalos region. I'm guessing that if he's a champion in one of the regions, they can't keep the series going because what would be the point? He's already become the champion of a region. Why the hell does he need to enter another region? Granted, I see no reason why he can't, but I'm guessing champion status gives Ash this status in which he doesn't need to be in a league anymore. At this point, he can just start challenging the Elite Four, or better yet, challenge the champion. Then he'll be on his way to becoming a Pokemon Master, and with him being a Master, the show has nothing to go off of anymore. It would end. So, what I'm basically trying to say here is that the reason that our heroes haven't gotten as much progression as they have yet, because we're only at episode 35. I know that doesn't seem like it makes sense right now, but think about it. Every Pokemon series has at least 100. With the exception of the Kanto region, which only had like 70, but then you have to add the Orange Islands region to it as filler. Not so much filler. He caught Snorlax, gained Charizard's respects, and Lapras ended up getting caught in that region as well. But what I'm trying to say is that in an anime that essentially has about 100 to 200 episodes in it total, and we're only on episode 30, and we have to wait, or 35, excuse me, and we have to wait 7 days before each episode happens, it's going to take time, is what I'm saying. Right now, Ash isn't that, I won't say not that good, because he's shown competence in some episodes before, but right now, Ash hasn't made it that far. He only has 2 badges, and his Pokemon aren't that powerful. But give it time, and he will get further. Trust me. And I could be wrong, and this could be a whole big waste of time. But as of now, I want to keep my hopes high. X and Y hasn't disappointed at this point. The only thing that X and Y has done that's kind of disappointed me is Clement's running joke of the inventions failing. Because at first it was charming, but now it's being overused. The Bonnie gag hasn't been used as much, but we can live without it. I like it, granted. I like when Bonnie does it, and it gives her character. But as of right now, Bonnie, you're fine just doing what you do best. Being comic relief, loving Pokemon, and giving the team overall more spirit. Serena, I've already talked about you several times with several other people, but here's the thing. This is all I really want from Serena. More focus. She doesn't have to really necessarily have a goal, but can we at least get episodes that focus on her? Don't start the series off with Serena poking her head out of a window, greeting the morning, changing clothes, and then only for us to not see her for real anymore. She's been in the background for too long. I like Serena. I want her to have more spotlight is basically what I'm saying. I'm not mad at the fact that she has no real goal, although that is kind of disappointing. I'm mad at the fact that they threw her away. I like her, and they threw her away. I guess I should point out one more thing. Diamond and Pearl, the reason that we had that big chunk of filler episodes before Ash got his 8th badge was because there wasn't anything else to really build off of in the series. There wasn't anything else to look forward to. Once Ash was done with the league, that was about it. Ash was done with the league. We moved on to Best Wishes. And that's essentially why, as of this point, Ash didn't have a goal. I mean, not Ash didn't have a goal. That's why, essentially, at this point, well, yeah, I do mean goal, as in an after goal. Think about it. After the Kanto region, he went to the Orange Islands. The Johto region was kind of long, but after the Johto region, there wasn't really much for him to do, so he just moved on to the Hoenn region. But after the Hoenn region, what did he end up doing? He went back to the Kanto region so that he can compete in the Battle Frontier. So, extra stuff. Hell, Best Wishes even had some extra stuff because they based a lot of things around stuff. Yeah, there were even points where Ash and the others didn't know what to do, but essentially after Ash was done with the Pokemon League, what did he end up doing? He ended up traveling to the White Ruins to research on Reshiram and the other mysterious worlds of Pokemon. He ended up joining forces with N in order to fight off against Team Plasma. And then he ended up traveling against a lot of islands so he could head back to Kanto. I mean, what I'm basically trying to say here is that a lot of filler episodes only happened because there wasn't much for Ash and the others to do afterwards. But we can tell that in X and Y, there's plenty of things to do. There's the Battle Chateau, there's the Battle Mansion, there's other stuff. Rest assured, there's more stuff to do in X and Y than there was Diamond and Pearl, video game wise. So we can probably almost guarantee that Ash will get some of these things done. And if Ash doesn't get it done, more than likely Serena will. I noticed that Serena's doing the PR video and the Pokepuffs. Things that you normally do when you're bored and don't feel like battling. You know, side stuff. So maybe that is Serena's overall goal. But if you're going to do that, can you at least, like I said, focus on her more? Don't have a series that focuses on Serena at the start and then just throws her away later. What if Pokemon Hoenn Region did that? What if Pokemon Hoenn Region introduced May, she was biking through, she ends up getting Torchic, and that's it? Then what's the point of her being on the team? What's the point of her joining Ash? There is none. It's like Ash could have just traveled with Bonnie and Clement at this point then. If that was the case, I'm not so mad at Clement because his goal essentially is to become a better gym leader, which is respectable in itself. He wants to become stronger, more courageous, and by the time he battles Ash, he'll show to be a lot more competent of a gym leader than he was before he traveled with Ash. So it shows premise. But we're winding down on the time here, so I guess I'll just get to the meat of things. The anime direction as of right now isn't really going downhill. And I guess I should use these last 5 minutes to discuss something else. How I would direct the anime. This was a question that was added on to another person who commented on it. Honestly, the way I would have the anime develop is simple things. Have Team Rocket be excluded from the anime, or not excluded, but not around as much. Have Team Rocket only appear sometimes, just like in Best Wishes. And when they show up, they're actually a threat. I like the Mega Evolution episode with them when they had Meowth, Wobbuffet, and the others have Mecha, like upgrades instead of like Mega Evolving, because it showed that Team Rocket could be threatening if they wanted to, but it's lost potential because they stopped using it the episode after. I would have Team Rocket only show up sometimes. One of the reasons that Team Rocket shows up, because I questioned this and looked into it, it's because Team Rocket brings conflict. A while back, and by a while I mean a week ago, I decided to start my own Pokemon fanfic that I've been writing for a while. And I noticed something when I was writing each of the episodes. The episodes felt like they were taking a long time because I don't have an evil organization of goons chasing after Trin and the others every episode, causing like 15 minutes worth of conflict. It's because Team Rocket brings conflict that they're in the anime. They cause conflict and they make the episode become longer because of it. But Best Wishes has proven that you can make conflict without Team Rocket being involved. Yeah, Team Rocket was still focused on and took up chunks of the episode based on like their whole secret mission and crap. But essentially, you can have a whole episode without having Team Rocket. And I feel that that element needs to be portrayed in the anime. So what I would do to change it, take Team Rocket out or at least limit them. And when they do show up, make them an actual threat. Another thing I would change is, of course, giving Serena a goal, or more or less making her catch another Pokemon. We like to see our characters develop, which is the whole reason why we want Serena to develop. So I want Serena to at least catch a Pokemon. If she can't have a goal in the series, fine. But at least develop her more to have her catch more Pokemon. Clement's just fine, although I do hope that after he battles against Ash and he loses, the battle makes him grow overall and his inventions actually start working. That would be a nice touch. And as for Bonnie, Bonnie's fine. Keep doing what you're doing, Bonnie. You're good. Other than that, I would have Ash battle a lot more trainers in the series, just to show that Ash is more serious about battling. Introduce a lot more characters that can be relevant as rivals or potential rivals. That way Ash has more of a reason to battle in the world of Pokemon. Because if we're not getting a goal from Serena and Clement's goal is very vague, then at least we'll have Ash battling off against a lot of trainers to show off his Pokemon more. I would make the pacing a bit faster just to help, but other than that, in terms of evolution, I would have Ash evolve his Pokemon, but as a state of compromise to appeal to both genders, I would have some of his Pokemon stay unevolved just because, but the majority of his Pokemon can be evolved. Like, for example, Froakie could evolve just into Frogadier and not into Greninja. That way, it can still relate to the fans that like cutesy Pokemon while still being a badass in his own rights. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and close off by saying the anime isn't going necessarily downhill. It just needs time. So we all just got to be patient. So I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out. Hello, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 here with Raichu, and we're both here to wish you a happy 4th of July because this video is going to come out during the time of 4th of July. His fault. And yeah, that's basically it. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Enjoy the video. Let's go blow up the neighbor's yard with fireworks.